Welcome to the 45s. After I made the 9s video, there were quite a few comments, and some people have been after me in the comments of all the videos after saying, hey, when are you going to do the 45s? I already did a really boring and borderline cringe video on the 45 triad, so let's do a more up-to-date video. All right, so let's start with the Mark 23. Every time I pick this gun up, it reminds me that it's an all-in all-the-time setup. You have to drive it. You can't just pick this gun up and shoot it. You have to be 100% ready every single time you press the trigger. Because if you sleep on it, it's gonna bobble really bad because of all the weight in the slide, and it's not a light handgun. But the Mark 23 is an absolute pussycat to shoot suppressed. This gun represents such severe duality. The double action trigger is horrendously terrible, awful. The only thing that makes it easier is how wide the trigger bow is, which allows you to get more clean force as you press to the rear versus having a smaller, thinner trigger, which wouldn't disperse the pressure evenly. So even though this is a really heavy trigger, because it's so heavy as you're pulling through it, you're not doing this as you're pulling the trigger. Then transition to single action, which is phenomenal. It's right at 4 pounds, very precise. Reset is very tactile and authoritative, and very, very clean and accurate. The only thing this thing's missing, obviously, is Trijicon HDs, which they'll never make, so I gotta get some tritium vials put in these things. So based on the vibe you wanna set, be it Sicario, Tears of the Sun, all 6 of us that like Terminator Salvation. There goes 4,000 subscribers right there. Or even the first season of Altered Carbon. This gun will get it done for you. Phenomenal pistol. And what's funny is, because it's so overbuilt, it's not the actual recoil impulse from the round, it's the weight cycling in your hand that makes it bobble. So it's not the 230 grain or even the 185 plus P you could be shooting out of this. It's the damn weight of the slide as it kerchunks every time you shoot. It's such a unique shooting experience, but again, it's not the recoil that sucks. It's the physical weight of the slide as it goes through the cycle of operations, and this thing is just super overbuilt. If you want an end of days, I don't have to ever worry about this thing failing me gun, look no further than the Mark 23. All right, moving from the Mark 23 to the USP 45. This gun almost needs zero introduction because it's been in movies, video games, TV. This is a phenomenal gun and everybody knows it. There's not anyone that really can competently talk shit about this gun. They'll try, they'll be like, oh, it's blocky, or oh, it's too big for my little hands.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Or something like that. But this is one of the smoothest shooting, best track record 45 ACP guns out there. Second only to the Mark 23 in its ruggedness and reliability. And honestly, it's such a close second, it should be like a 1.25. The only thing it doesn't keep up with is the service life on plus P ammunition. But it's, again, such a marginal round count that this thing is more impressive because of how well it does, versus the Mark 23 being impressive because of course it is, it's super overbuilt. So the USP being able to keep up with it is very impressive. Some people have called it the Mark 23C, but I've had the USP 45 the longest in this one here, and it looks very good. It's a little wet because I had to take it out of storage, but this gun every single time has gone bang. I've never had any single issue with this pistol, and it has the most rounds in my inventory. It just rounded 6,000 rounds because I've been taking it out more frequently, and I love it. It's so smooth and easy to shoot. I never have any issues. 12 rounds on tap. And for those that are wondering, the Mark 23 magazine goes in there, not vice versa. So because I have so many Mark 23 magazines and USP 45 magazines, this is the most supplied 45 in my inventory, despite the fact that I have well over 30 HK 45 magazines.
Damn!
What's nice about this gun is how flat it shoots and how easy it is to shoot. Has a very confident draw and it fits my hand very well. Honestly, with the difference of only the grip angle, if you're used to a Glock 17 Gen 5.5, this gun will be very little extra effort for you because the grip is very similar and the size is very similar. So you're gonna be used to the dimensions. She's gonna be a little thicker, but in good ways. Very smooth to shoot with or without a light on the end of it. And you can pick it up, hand it to anybody. Even if their recoil control isn't the best, it's going to be a nice smooth shooting experience for them, and I've never had a complaint after somebody fired a USP 45. Both pistols are equipped with matched trigger kits from HK and the HK 45C magazine release. That's all I've ever had to do to these to make them fit me perfectly. I do run the finger extension on the 12 rounder. It just fits my hand really nicely. And honestly, the only thing I need to add to these are Trijicon HDs, as well as a USP 45 tactical with Trijicon HDs and an HK 45C magazine release, so I can have a suppressed USP 45. And quite frankly, they're a solid size, like I was saying earlier, and 12 rounds on tap plus 1 to make 13 is pretty competent for a 45 caliber pistol. But I'm definitely gonna add a USP 45 tactical. And Lego Joker, the only reason I don't have your USP 45 in OD green is because I had my money tied up in something else. I almost bought it. But alas, another OD green USP slips through my fingers. USP 45 will always be there for you, ready to do work when somebody's almost certainly stealing your briefcase.
Yo, homie. That my briefcase?
Is your briefcase? Yeah, it is. Why, you want it back?
What about your wallet?
What else you got for me? Huh?
Fuck!
Or when you have to learn that transitioning to your sidearm is always faster than reloading.
Now pull out your sidearm. Remember, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading.
And now finally, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna move on to the HK 45. Now some would say I have a problem with the HK 45 and that I need to slow down and go to therapy. I don't know what they're talking about. But the HK 45 is the pistol that fits me the best out of anything. Even over a 1911 or a 226 or a P30, all those guns that fit me very, very well, this gun has always felt like it was made for me and my stubby little WAP hands. So I love it. I love that they come out of the box with night sights already and you don't have to do anything to this gun. The only reason this has Trijicon HDs, for those that remember, is it had Heine straight 8s and the front sight came loose. So I didn't like that very much, but I did like how the guy before me painted the front blade orange. So of course, I said to myself, why not give the Trijicon HDs a shot? Well, it's funny because they're taller. So these are essentially almost suppressor height night sights, which I am not a fan of, but I love Trijicon HDs, which is why they're still on this gun. That notwithstanding, I shoot the Mepper lights just fine, and this is the HK45 I've had the longest, with a very low serial number, and a lot of people have tried to buy this off me just because of the serial number, but I've carried this pistol and converted it to light LEM. I used to concealed carry this pistol, but I decided that that wasn't the best option, so I bought the HK45. It's a little thinner, and what's nice about these is you can buy it, throw a light on it immediately, and it's ready to go. It's also an excellent band state gun, which is something that makes me sick to say. It also does everything a 1911 does, minus the trigger, for less, with better capacity, and a 1913 rail.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
So if you're looking for something that's going to replace your 1911 both with reliability and capacity, you get flush fit 10 round magazine, and you can get a light LEM trigger, which is phenomenal, or just run the standard double action single action because it has the sear spring from the match trigger kit, so the single action reset is pretty precise. Not the best trigger out there, and when you compare it to a nice 1911, you're gonna say, there's no way these triggers are comparable, and you'd be right. But for the purchase price of this and its reliability, you can dangle a $3,500, $4,000 1911 in front of me, or this, and I'd probably take this every single time. It mitigates recoil differently than the USP45 with the recoil reduction system. This has a polymer buffer with a flat spring, whereas the USP45 has a dual spring system and a small buffer that's built in that's metal, so a much better system, but it makes the bore axis higher than the HK45, which almost disappears into your hand, which is very nice. You get a nice high purchase on the HK45, so they both do it differently. And if you shoot them back to back, you'd say they're both good, but they do it differently. The 10 round magazines only hold 10 rounds unless you want to spend $100 on a 13 round magazine from HK Parts. They're very proud of their stuff over there. What is nice though, is I only have to change the holster on my fighting belt because those magazines fit into 9mm S-Tac Kiwis, so I don't have to change that. I can just swap the holster out and I'm set. And as you can see in front of you, I've got one for every occasion and every AOR possible, for those that get excited about that stuff. And of course, when pushed hard enough, I will have to concede that this HK45 series of guns is the most ignored of the modern HK pistols. People like the P30s more than they like the HK45 series. It's not because the HK45 is bad, but the average capacity, the 90 to 95% footprint similarity to the USP45, which everyone will admit is better, and the price tag sometimes will push people away from this gun because they look at it and say, I can do the exact same thing with the USP45 with 2 more rounds and not have to worry about it. But it blows past how excellent this feels in hand. The precision of the trigger out of the box versus the USP series, the 1913 rail, and how nice the sights are. It's just a very excellent gun, front cocking serrations, a lot of nice features in this pistol, but it's gonna get ignored because of the capacity and the things that the USP does that this doesn't. So never mind the fact also that you don't have to get a special recoil spring assembly. It uses all the same parts between the tactical and the full size. So as utilitarian as this pistol is and as good as it is and how wonderful a suppressor host it is, as well as how sleek it is compared to the USP, it's gonna get left on the bench because some people think it's ugly, and quite frankly, there may be better options out there for you based on what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to suppress it. Although this thing does shoot very, very smooth suppressed. And once again, if I was gonna be a pistol, this is what I would be, the HK45. Oh, I almost forgot, the movie cutaways, oops. The HK45 apparently is great for transporting the Bible by memory across a post-apocalyptic landscape. Or if your autistic brother is one of the best assassins in the game and you have people you have to intimidate, or if you're a bad guy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I wanted you dead.
And I know before we get too far, people are gonna say, how are you the full-size HK-45 and not the HK-45C? Well, people like the HK-45C more. And 5.8 isn't that short. But if you're gonna ask, this is the only compact 45 I recommend. You can put an elephant foot in there for 10 rounds. You can also squeeze the 13 rounder in there, and they make, I'm pretty sure HK Parts makes a adapter, so you can do that. But you can dump this 8 rounder, reload with a 10 rounder or a 13 rounder, and you have a Glock 19 size 45 ACP pistol, which is great. The only other compact I would consider is a Glock 30 or Glock 30S. But you're definitely gonna have more felt recoil in this pistol than you are the full size. I really prefer how the full size shoots, and I can clean up a bad range day with a full size HK-45 versus the compact. I gotta focus a little harder. It's intuitive to point out and drive, but the recoil is a little more harsh. And honestly, everything on this pistol but the grip is better than the USP-45C. The triggers are about on par, but this also has the match sear spring, so it's a little more precise. But this does have the 1913 rail, so you don't have to buy an adapter, and the TLR7 fits on this now, so there you go. It is such a great little gun that it makes me want to get a Mark 24, but the Mark 24 is at the bottom of my list, so I may pick up an HK-45C Tactical at some point, but right now it's way at the bottom of the list. I gotta get some other things. These are my 45s. These are the 45s that I've chosen, and they work the best for me. Are there other 45s out there I would buy? Maybe. Maybe a Dan Wesson Specialist, or if they still made a P227. I think SIG, if they made a P227 Legion, would sell better than a P220. I don't know. But these 45s have given me nothing but stellar performance. All 3 of them, and quite frankly, even the 45C, have performed in every environment I've taken them in, and they're all great suppressed. I can put a can on any one of them and be fine. I also have the most magazine interchangeability between the USP and the Mark 23, as well as the HK 45 and 45C. So it's a lot less magazines to stock versus my 9mm, and these things are just so sweet to shoot. And there's no one that's gonna be able to tell me that these aren't reliable or anything. The most they can do is say, oh, nice way to roll 10 grand out on the table showing off for this video. Or, you could have just bought something cheaper and more ammo. Something like that. I don't care. I love these guns, they shoot well, and they have a legitimate practical application. They're phenomenal suppressor hosts, and 230 grain ball is plenty effective, let alone when you put a 230 grain hollow point in there or a 185 plus P. They do incredible things. So if you're looking to do something similar to what I do, or you want a phenomenal suppressor host, or you want guns that are never gonna let you down, these are definitely where it's at. The best option is probably the USP 45. These have gotten more expensive since I bought mine. And as much as I love my HK-45, I know people are gonna get hung up on the 10 round thing. So you do you, boo-boo. But all 3 of these, if I have them in my hand, I don't feel outgunned, I don't feel that I can't get work done, and I don't feel that I'd be better served with something else. Yes, the capacity is lower than a 9mm, but you have to shoot and train with your guns so that you know how to use them in any situation you could be in. And I feel remarkably competent with these. All the rounds I put down the pipe on every single one of them. I just love these things. There you have it. These are the 45s. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.